May I come in, sir?
Yes.
Sir, I'm Vic Tiller. I'm doing my master's in environmental science from NEHU. If you have some time, I would like to discuss something with you.
Oh, yes, please. Just have the seat. Let me finish the thing that I'm doing.
Thank you, sir.
So, okay, tell me now.
Sir, I am from PAC district. As you are working in the PAC, can you please suggest some topic on environment for my MSc project?
So, you're from Fake. Have you heard anything about Chabo?
Yes, but little bit, as my parents are settled in Shillong and I visited PAC only my childhood days.
Then I will suggest you to visit your hometown again, and this time you go and learn about the wonderful practice Jabo.
Okay, sir, I will visit the practice and you have to check my report and advise me accordingly.
Jabo is basically done in your area. Say Kikruma is the origin.
Nagaland, Switzerland of the East. Situated in the remote corner of northeast India, is home to 16 tribes. Its incredible beauty holds the heart of the viewers. The land is covered with exquisite flora and fauna. If one sees from the peak the mountainscapes, glimpses to the valley, the crystal clear river, and the small villages down below, it causes one's heart to sleep some beats, and a thought strikes the mind. Alas, I could have wings. The superb music of the nature and the attracting folklore sung by the farmers working on their field makes one to forget oneself. People of Nagaland are very affable, cheerful, and gifted with a fine sense of humor. But the Chakisangs are the most jovial among all. They have very rich culture and wonderful traditions. They are very good craftsmen and excellent farmers. They make use of their creative skills to remain self-sufficient in every sphere. Chakisangs are hardworking and they have passion for hunting. When they find time, they love to play music and dance. But living in this region is very hard indeed. Fake, the homeland of Chakisangs, receives annual rainfall of about 1,750 mm, but due to steep nature of the terrain, most of the water is lost as surface runoff. The higher percolation rate adds further loss to remaining water. Necessity is the mother of invention, and the people of this area exemplify the dictum fully. Stressed by persistent water shortage, they have devised their own time-tested way of cultivation called Zabo.
Abuza, let's get down. Let's go. Okay, Jibuli, Jukungu, Hakatoti, Yokazam Hatok, wish you, Leno She, Mosna, Yopuino, Amhapu, Jolo, no Gedale, Snano Mazari, he did be mono, debit, no Ucha, yes, Okunvemo, yourself, where I pose yet.
Oh, no, because I was a total Katamo, each level was in Jepo.
Not your way, oh, but that you know you pose more. Boy, how can you, Mosa?
Now, there's Buhi, which has had the motor. No, because I was a total Katamo, each level was in
Okay, dear. The word Zaba is derived from the Chakisan word Zabe, which forms naturally in the streams. But nowadays, the term Zabe is popularly used as a synonym for Zude, that is mostly a man-made pond. Zude is a Chakisan word, which literally means harvesting runoff water. It is an indigenous farming system. It combines forestry, horticulture, agriculture, fishery, and animal husbandry. And it will be a fantastic theme for your project profile. The Zaba practice appears to have originated in Kikruma village of Puetsero subdivision by our forefathers, and it is now practiced in almost entire Chakasang inhabited area of Pek district of Nagaland. Though our area receives enough rain, but due to surface runoff, forefathers have suffered from water scarcity over the years. This suffering from water scarcity have forced them to evolve an elaborate water harvesting arrangement that ultimately resulted in Zabe, the most efficient land water management system. They dig ponds in the middle to harvest the water, and at the bottom surface of the pond is properly ran to minimize the loss of water through seepage. Protected forest lands on hilltops act as catchments, and water is channelized through inlet channels from the catchment area. Silt retention tank is dug above the pond, and water is kept in such tanks for 2 to 3 days before it is transferred to the main ponds. The silt retention tanks are cleaned annually. The desilted material contains good amount of organic matter and nutrients, which are then transferred to the terrace fields lying below the pond. Sometimes, more than one pond is constructed in such a way that surplus water from one pond flows down to the pond below. Water is released from the ponds for irrigation through an opening at its base. Water from the ponds is carried either by open channels or by bamboo pipes. The channels are normally compacted by hammering its base to reduce water percolation. The sharing of this water between different families or clans is done through mutual negotiations. Water flows down from one plot to the other through the passage till it reaches the last plot. The excess water is drained off. April to May is the sowing season in terrace cultivation, and transplantation is done in June and July. Water is allowed to remain in the fields for the whole period of plant's growth, which is then drained off from the fields just before harvesting. Normally the ponds dry up by March or April, and during this period, ponds are repaired. Vegetables and fruits like squash, colocasia, banana, papaya, oranges, and citrus fruits are cultivated on the banks of the pond. Livestock like cattle, goat, sheep, pig, and poultry are raised beside the pond. The cattle enclosures are fenced with bamboo and wooden branches. Enclosures and houses for livestock are constructed slightly below the lower side of the water harvesting pond. Water for irrigation of rice fields is taken from the pond through the livestock enclosures so that dung and urine of the animals can be washed and carried away to the fields lying below. This serves as a good source of nutrients for the paddy crops.
이거 그때보다서 이거 때보다서 뭐 자도 무슨 수도를
보도 다 그게 모터로 비두고 바티 쉐비두고 봉안 쉐비두고 무슨 너 달래 수도를 뭐 지사 계획하고 플라스틱 무슨 너 오즈노 오버도 무슨 너 바치노 러시아란 여건지 사고만 홍어래 현나노
뭐 대디 파티 너 오바타 자서 우리 오늘 무슨 대시에서
nó tôi thà cái vết thô thì của tôi nó thì xí lấy xí chị
thì xí lấy xí mồ
à rồi cha em học chuyện của tôi nó phải做vào đó什么那么好去我没事吧没
还没好我他没个说啊他我这没好我没好
所以打我这么nó đâu thấy chưa hào yêu bộ trồng mà rồi thà yêu bộ dại dại
đủ ra 사실 đâu
아버자 너 다들 에프머리지 호에 볼리오지
In Zabo culture, paddy fields are generally located at the lower elevations. The field embankments are thoroughly rammed by beating it with wooden sticks to avoid percolation and seepage of water. Normally, Tanyeke Muga, a local long-duration variety of paddy, is grown in the paddy fields. This variety matures in about 180 days. The seeding rate is 50 kg per hectare, and transplanting is done in June and July, which requires spacing of about 4 inches to 4 inches to 5 inches to 5 inches. Normally, 1 or 2 seedlings are transplanted in a hill. On an average, 2 supplementary irrigations are required, water for which is given from Zabe. About 4 inches of water is required in the paddy fields. The yield of paddy ranges between 3 to 4 tons per hectare. Paddy cum fish culture is commonly practiced, and farmers raise the fishes in their wet rice terraces. A small pit is dug out in the middle of the rice field, and fish fingerlings are released in the fields. When the water is drained off from the fields before harvesting the paddy, fishers move into the pit. Farmers get about 50 to 60 kg of fish per hectare. The entire continuum includes forestry on the top, horticulture on the embankments, livestock besides the pond at lower level, and paddy cum fish farming at the lower terraces forms the Zabe farming system. It has an inbuilt water harvesting and recycling systems with well-founded conservation base to control soil erosion and soil fertility management. It is a viable practice of resource management and maintenance of ecological balance developed by observing the nature. This system has been created by our forefathers by adopting the nature's way. Nagaland is a land of fairs and festivals, and they are generally celebrated throughout the year. After getting a good harvest, we the Chakasang people go in festive moods, as feasts and festivals are the most fundamental elements of our lives. All the celebrations are part of offering prayer and thanksgiving to bountiful nature. Farming is the main occupation, so after getting good harvest of paddy, we celebrate Finye, which is a fish festival, and enjoy the beauty that the seasons have bestowed on us. Finye is celebrated right after the paddy harvest. It coincides with the observation of Vata or Kevaketa, which means grain gathering, and Kiiti, which is the partaking of the first grain from the granary with thanksgiving to the deities in the month of Nuha or November. Finye is unique and rare occasion. It is rare because hardly any other society celebrate Finye. Initially, Finye was practiced by the Chokri sect of Peck district, but now it is practiced by all the Chakasang sects. 15th November is set for its celebration. Programs start with thanksgiving prayers to God for His generosity, as He has given bountiful harvest. fish is regarded to be clean and holy as it lives in water, and traditionally it signifies money and wealth. It is also believed that water signifies richness. Thus, partaking of fish with the first grain of the new harvest is believed to bring good fortunes. Traditionally, Chakhesang practiced paddy cultivation cum pisciculture on terraces. Every household rears mostly mud fish in the wet paddy fields. This ensures practice of Fuiniye since the olden days. Every household equally participates in the celebration with reared and unreared fish. People exchange their curry and setsu, which is a grain-brewed wine, with friends, near and dear ones, and also offer them to the old and needy people. This way, they conserve their unique culture and tradition that is the integral part of society's richness and pride.
So, have you visited Jabo?
Yes, sir, this is my report.
Jabo, traditional way of integrated farming.
Science is not limited to the research in laboratories alone. It is virtually the art of observing and understanding the nature and recreating the process in the controlled environment. There is order in chaos in nature's way, but there is every possibility of chaos in humans' order. Our forefathers were keen observers. They observed the nature's way and adopted the same without interfering much with its process. An example of this is the Aboriginal way of water conservation and integrated farming system Zabo. Juming or shifting cultivation and Zabo are the two phases of cultivation in the hills. Juming is a common practice in the entire northeastern India. However, Zabo is restricted to certain areas. In Juming, cultivators cut down the trees and burn all the trees and shrubs to clean the soil for Jum. They believe that Juming helps in fertilizing the land, but it virtually leads to vulnerability of soil and accelerates erosion. It has devastating and far-reaching impact on ecology and biodiversity. On the other hand, Zabo has well-founded conservation base to control soil erosion and restore soil fertility. Zabo is the most appropriate answer to stop environmental degradation due to Juming. Adoption of Zabo can bring more prosperity to the areas where Juming is practiced.
Hey!